I was not afraid of failure. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, Naval doesn't respond to me. I go off to sleep and live on with my happy life. Now, when I have so much to lose because my reputation, my brand, my 180 investments and offline and investments through iSeed and like so many investors I'm in touch with for my fund.
You have a phenomenal network. I mean, your funds are backed by LPs such as Tim Ferriss, Naval, Sriram from Twitter. How do you build that network early in your career?
That's when I came across Naval and I was excited about his way of life, like more than anything else, like his philosophy. Like, I mean, how crisply he can explain a topic. That shows you how much he's thought about it.
Do you regret missing out on any of the deals?
Misho, I think, was my big anti-portfolio.
Hi everyone, welcome to the 4th episode of Beyond the Grind, a podcast where I invite people from different business backgrounds, from founding to investing to product to marketing, to learn from their mistakes, their successes, and their experiences in a tactical way so that you and I can apply these learnings today. In this part of the episode, joining in with me is someone who has worked with Naval Ravikant to bring AngelList to India, is one of the biggest angel investors in India, and has founded many micro VC funds such as iSeed and Galaxy. He's now running an exclusive community for top 10% founders in India called Offline. Not only this, he has created an incredible impact on the founders and the companies he invested in. This is Utsav Somani, and this is the second part of the episode with him. In the first part, we talked about what does angel investing means, why did you become an angel investor, and his crazy story of investing in CoinDCX. In this part of the episode, we are going to talk about how to find the right companies to invest in, how to secure a deal, why did he reach out to Naval Ravikant to bring AngelList to India, and his networking principle. So let's welcome him and start with the podcast. I want to talk more about how you evaluate a business, a deal in securing the investment. For example, you mentioned with CoinDCX that you within 2 days you got the technology vetted and then moved ahead with it. But there are too many steps in between, from vetting the business to the evaluation that the founders are giving in, etc., etc. What's that process like? Step by step. So you found that company.
I found that company. So I think I'm a very top-down investor where I'd like to think about the market first. I think the opportunity needs to be there, or the founder is creating something entirely new, which is there. And then, I mean, I can give you like answers that satisfy most people's intellectual curiosity or like thesis and like opportunity and like TAM, and like TAM is total addressable market and like technology and stuff. But I think the real thing is founder market fit for me. Like, what is the fire in the belly for the founder? Like, Sumit had been through that same journey of crypto buying and selling like as I had. So I could see that he is very passionate about solving it, had the technology chops, technical chops, and then solid. He had done crypto trading for the last 2 years before coming into this. So he was the right man for the job. I think, I mean, after going through 180 investments, 190 investments, I've realized like you just need to I mean, there are problems are existent. Like, I mean, whatever problem you pick, like I think it's just a framing problem. Most of the framings, the problem statement, but problems exist in multi-dimensional world like this. So you just got to find the man for the job, basically, man or woman for the job. And that for me is the founder market fit. So that is the sole thing that I look for right now, because in today's day and age where it's glamorous to be a startup founder, glamorous to be an angel investor, many people forget why they started this in the first place. But for me, fire in the belly, and sometimes I just know within the first 10 minutes of a call, on a Zoom call as well, that if I'm going to invest in this company or not. And the next 2-3 calls that I take is just to like double down on all of that. You spend enough time with the founder, you'll find a reason not to invest. But here you have to be optimistic. Like, I mean, the world is run by, and financial returns is like are made in the venture capital space by people who are techno optimists, right? So be optimistic, find a reason why this is yes, because max you can lose is 1x your money, but return is 1000x. So if I can do 1000 investments and get, I mean, 999 investments and get that 1000x, I'm even Steven.
Understood. So in most of the cases, I mean, you have some observation where the industries could be moving, but most of it is about the founder in early stage investing. Got it.
Most about the founder, and many times I actually don't even know about the industry. Like, I'm not that good in all of this new wave like AI and stuff, like what's happening with these LLMs and foundational models and stuff. But you just know, I mean, like one of the founders, like how Prof connected us also, they're starting up again in AI, right? And didn't even take a call. Like, I didn't even want to see the deck. Like, you've given me a profitable exit from your last company. I will back you no matter what. I've enjoyed spending these 7-8 years of interacting with you about your company, about this thing. So I know they're genuine. Like, they have high integrity, right? And they're way more technical than I can ever be. So I don't ever think of myself just because I have a checkbook to be smarter than somebody else.
Hmm.
I think there are people who are less luckier than I am, but way, way more smarter. And there are people who deserve to be on this podcast more than I am, than I should be. But that's just how the way the world measures success. I wish there was a different way to measure success and for more people to be discovered. But yeah.
Hmm. What are those qualities? I can understand to some degree for second-time founders when you meet them, when you see their past company, their work. But for first-time founders, what are those qualities that you look for? Because you do not have a lot of metrics as you
Yeah.
would have for second-time.
So Charlie Munger, who was Warren Buffett's partner, he said energy, intelligence, and integrity. Those are the three things to measure when you're hiring a person. I would say the
Energy,
same.
intelligence, and integrity.
Yeah, those three things I look for in a founder. And 2 out of those 3 can be a deadly combination as well. Like, when you start seeing fraud cases also, you don't want energy and intelligence and no integrity. So those 3 things to come together also, I think, are very rare. When they do, it's awesome. And merit based. Like, I think a lot of founders get funded when they shouldn't have, just because they're roaming around in the right circles, they know the right people or stuff like that. So world is not fully merit driven or merit based. So I wish merit use should play a bigger part in like organizing all of this stuff. But energy, intelligence, and integrity. Like, I should want to hang out with that founder for like a beer or a drink or like a meal after that and learn from him or her. That's my, like, right now, that's the metric. Like, will I want to hang out with this founder and learn something from him or her?
Yeah.
That's my basic metric right now.
For someone who wants to become an angel investor now, what do you think is the best time to start in terms of the money they have with themselves, in terms of the knowledge, the experience? Are there things that you would recommend that all of this needs to be in place for you to start in this journey?
In terms of numbers and stuff, I don't think there's a proper definition of like when you should start this, right? I was at one point like 90% of my net worth in startups. I think it's still pretty much close to that. So for most people, that's not the recommended path. Like, somebody will tell you do 2% of your net worth and stuff. But man, like, sometimes you have, like, say at ISB, many of your colleagues or like your peers will start exciting companies. You might get tempted, right, to invest in, like, of course, you might have a different view on what their idea is and their market opportunity and stuff, but you'll want to invest in that. So I'm not going to say that save 1 crore first and then invest 5 lakhs into that thing. If you think that person is insane, like, you will want to like back what they're doing early on, start. I would say you've got to find the opportunity first. Like, you can't say that I'm getting to 1 crore and then this thing, but it's all capital down the drain. Like, you're not going to see that money 7-10 years down the line, until 7-10 years down the line, even if you do, right? Like, it's odds are against you.
The fun is more that you're getting to be a part of that company, that journey, and the impact that you'll create with them. Got it. Do you have any skill set in mind that people who are trying to enter into early stage of investing should build or should invest in? Or what you've just, whatever you have said till now about observing things, about all of this. Are there any skill sets in particular that you would recommend people investing in or building?
I think great people skills are super important. Somebody has to be, if you're going to, what you're selling, like, you're selling capital to a founder, right? And best founder will have 10 people selling the same commodity. Capital is a commodity in a very rich environment, like what we lived through in the last few years of venture capital. So you're selling commodity, like, people skills and all of that stuff need to be on top. You need to have great technical skills and curiosity. I think that's super important. a lot of this, this Instagram reels and YouTube and podcast generation is lost out on the curiosity aspect of things where they're reading like hardcore deep stuff. Like really the STEM stuff, physics, maths, all of those things which make you have your own view of the world in some way or form. And you can consume any kind of content. I'm not saying something against content consumption, but at some point realize that do away with do all the junk, but move to the smarter stuff soon. And many people stay in that. Then they end up becoming an influencer, and the world is revolving around who's getting more views on reels. That's not how people change the world, though.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's so much information to consume that it's much easier to get influenced rather than making up your own opinions. You talked about some technical skills as well. What are those technical abilities or skills?
Depends. Having access to engineering knowledge, I think, is super important. Like physics, maths, any of that stuff that you can assess or have your own opinion about the technical aspect of a product and a company as well, or world in general. And there are different ways of learning as well. Like Elon Musk didn't know what space when he started SpaceX, right? But sometimes it takes an outsider's view also to change a particular industry, and that's helpful also. But just having your mental model on how you can learn fast about a thing, that I think can be useful. And Farnham Street and Shane Parrish talk about this a lot. They've done a book on various mental models on how to become a quick and fast learner as well.
Let's shift to your AngelList story now.
Okay.
It's a very interesting one.
And you've spoken about enough.
Yeah, one more time. But you've told on many podcasts that you heard Naval on one of the podcasts, Tim Ferriss's podcast, and then you sent him a cold email about AngelList India, about your thoughts on it and about you bringing it here in India. But apart from that, what all did you do to convince him to give you this opportunity? It's a huge opportunity at a very young age.
And many other people, once I got the role, actually said that, we also wrote to Naval, but we never heard back.
Oh,
but because I had been through that angel investing 1.0, 2.0 journey, I knew what the problems were and how syndicates, which was a product that AngelList launched and pioneered in the US, could solve that for the Indian ecosystem. So I was like, this has to come to India because, Indian ecosystem is booming. Deals are getting closed, but paperwork takes even longer. US, when the digital signatures were legal back in the day, in India, they were not. So I was like, it's just a nightmare to do these physical wet signatures for 50 people on a cap table. How can we solve that for founders and investors and everyone in the ecosystem involved in deal making? And that's when I came across Naval, and I was excited about his way of life, more than anything else, his philosophy. How crisply he can explain a topic. That shows you how much he's thought about it. That how you mastered the art of, say, health, wealth, and wisdom, that you can crisply condense, say, a 500-page book into literally 140 characters on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's the level of mastery that I was excited about. And you listen to him and you're a fanboy, right? So I was like, this and Naval plus AngelList and something that I experienced together. So I wrote him that email and told him why AngelList should come to India, 4 bullet points, very crisp email, why this thing. And he responded and we ended up chatting. And I think a few months down the line, I was hired at AngelList India to build syndicates and pioneer this concept in India, which nobody had thought about doing in India. Original idea, of course, came from AngelList US. But for the Indian context, it was fairly new and required a lot of hand-holding and struggles with the regulator to get this launched, get them to learn how this will blow up the angel investing ecosystem. And now there are many other copycats, but AngelList India has maintained lead position in the market and a big market share still.
So that genuineness was visible in your email.
It has to be.
Yeah.
I lived through the problem. So I knew this thing. And another thing, that when I think about this in hindsight, I had sent that email in 30 minutes. I didn't have ChatGPT, or I didn't have a master plan. But I was not afraid of failure. What's the worst that can happen? Naval doesn't respond to me. I go off to sleep and live on with my happy life. Now when I have so much to lose because my reputation, my brand, my 180 investments and offline and investments through iSeed and so many investors I'm in touch with for my fund, so much to lose. Like now I'm afraid of like every single tweet also that put out. I'm thinking like, oh, what will I think? Like, I mean, it's like some of the, Naval also said this, like some of the best accounts on Twitter are where they have 10 followers, but they're posting their heart out, like the real honest heart truth, right? And people, once they have followers, then you just become this thing, you're careful. So I was not afraid of failure. So that email was literally raw, honest me. In the world of ChatGPT, man, 99% of the emails are going to look same. So how are you going to differentiate yourself?
Yeah, these days, for example, Perplexity put this out that they are building their India team here. And I also tried to write that email, but I've thought about it so much.
How do you differentiate?
How do I differentiate? How do I show that I have some accomplishments? And I did not do it. I thought about it for 3 days without penning a word. And then when it actually happened, I wrote it in 10 minutes and sent it out. But thinking that I'll lose out of this opportunity if I don't do it correctly makes me procrastinate a lot. So yeah, that's something.
Take as many shots on goal that you want. Like, I mean, you should be writing like 4 cold emails in a day. It takes like 30 minutes, but honestly, that one email can change your life. Like, it's the lowest risk, this thing. There's no capital involved. In startup investing, you have to still put money in, spend time with the founder. Email, so you can be sitting in your pajamas and just writing that email. So
yeah,
take those shots. But also not take them very aimlessly also, like prepared mind. Like, why? Like, ask your why.
Yeah. And since AngelList India, you've founded many micro VC funds from Galaxy to iSeed, and now you've founded Offline, which is a private club for top 1% founders in India.
Top 10%.
Top 10% founders in India. You have a phenomenal network. I mean, your funds are backed by LPs such as Tim Ferriss, Naval, Sriram from Twitter. How do you build that network early in your career versus how do you look at networking now?
Now I want to cut down on networking. I actually want to cut down my network. I want to have depth of conversation, not the width, right? I mean, that's the reason and philosophy behind offline. Like, how could we, I mean, everybody says I have 50 friends, but inside they might be like dealing with serious founder loneliness. So I wanted to solve that with offline, right? Focus on the depth. Where can I tell people that, oh, it's not going right? Like, on Twitter, everything is going nice. My GMB is growing. My transaction volume is growing. But shit, my fire is like, I mean, there are 10,000 fires in my company. Who do I share it with? So that's the private safe space that we give you at offline for all the top founders. And it's relatable because all of these people have been on that journey with you. And now my address book is focused solely on building offline. Like, I mean, it has to, I mean, that's the most powerful address book that I can give to myself. And if I'm able to bond with 300 of the best tech founders in this country, I don't need any other network. Like, everyone else will probably be a 1-2 degree connection away. And people here are super helpful if I provided them enough value at offline. Early in the day, I was like, sure, I should meet everyone, like go this thing. So earlier I was optimizing for surface area. But eventually you want to like build a funnel, but also realize what's coming at the other end of it. So now it's focused on reducing and trimming the fat. So early on, optimize for surface area. You got to learn, you got to explore new ideas and then find your own tribe. And that can be in different shapes and ideas. You might be learning something else today, right now at ISB, like you did electronics engineering before. But your ideas might be like, I don't know, something in art eventually. Explore, like have parallel explorations that Tim Ferriss says as well. And same for network. Like you might be attracted to a certain kind of people because you've been at ISB, but what if you like hanging out with like artists more or creative people more or like computer engineers more? So have a wide surface area early on because your 20s are there for experimentation. Like there's this hot debate going on about 70 to 90 hours of work, right? Work as much as you want. Like, I mean, it shouldn't be defined by this thing. And the problem with corporate jobs is your outcome is 1x. I mean, you're putting in 10 hours of work every day, you're going to get paid for 10 hours. You put 9 hours, you'll get 9 hours. Having equity ESOPs in like a high growth startup is one way to like take away that risk. Investing in startups is part of that, this thing as well. Having parallel explorations like a podcast or a newsletter is taking away some of that risk and this thing. But work should feel like play. That's the only reason why you will be good at it. Like I'm still doing angel investing because it feels like play. Like, I mean, chatting with a founder to me on a Sunday night, like with Sumit and stuff, doesn't feel like work. For most people, it's like calendar block and item, all of that stuff. For me, this is just play. Like if I'm not enjoying it now, I'm in the position to say no to a lot of things as well. So I've started saying no to a lot of things as well now.
I'll tell you what I feel when I try to reach out to someone. For example, I've connected with you through this podcast. Now, next time when I have to, how do I continue building on that connection? Because generally you'll reach out to that connection when you have some work. Is that seemed okay? Does that look okay, or you would want to casually also
At
catch
the
up? Like, what do you think?
level that probably I am at, it's okay to be transactional. Like I'm later stage, like I've helped people out along my journey. So I think it's okay. Like, I mean, for a late stage founder, because they're so busy with their own companies and stuff. In your case, like if you first have to decide, do you want to double click on this relationship, like go deeper into this, then let's do a thought exercise. What would you send me that's valuable every single month or a week? Will it be a newsletter? Will it be a podcast snippet that you've heard? Will it be summarizing content that you've read about a new topic online? Or will it be a new, compilation of tweets that you've read which are interesting? Or will you help me find the next Bitcoin?
Yeah.
That is the kind of value that I would get when I start a new relationship now. Or will you help me find the next startup from ISB? As simple as that. If you're sending me exciting peers who are starting up companies, that for me is great value. So that is what I would do if I was in your position.
Yeah, makes sense on what you said earlier also about giving back before you just double down on the connection.
Or even, forget giving me value. Like, how do I trust you? Like, if I was to introduce you to any of the top founders that I know because of offline and like otherwise, how will I trust you? Like, how will I vouch for you? In this world of social currency, I don't want to give it away for social capital and social currency. I don't want to like introduce you to someone and have a bad experience, right? I mean, they say that, oh, this didn't work out with her. Like, Arushi is not diligent at work. I'm sure none of that is true, but I'm just giving a hypothetical example. So you really need to show me that when I vouch for you, it really is this thing, because my word means a lot to people in my immediate network because I've built that reputation and credibility.
If you had to mentor someone, what do you look for?
I don't.
You don't?
I actually learn the other way around. So when a founder comes to me for mentorship, I'm like, dude, what are you teaching me? That's the question to ask.
You have a mentor-mentee relationship with Naval.
Yeah, I've picked up things along the way. Like, you have access to the best of Naval via the podcast and interviews that he does as well. So I think having him and many other smart people that I've interacted with, like, I've learned so much, man, from these people that it's a skill that I've learned as well on what to learn from some of the best people in the world. I think that's a skill. You don't want to pick up 100% of somebody, whatever they put out publicly, and make that your personality as well. You need to be unique. Otherwise, I'll just be a puppet for repeating what I read on Twitter.
Yeah.
So build your own personality as well. And a lot of people are mimicking other famous people's personality because they've heard them on the podcast. And now, like, social media is putting them in your face all the time.
Yeah.
So build your own personality, build your own worldview, and that comes from doing deep work.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
And mentor, mentee, like, not for me, like, to be honest. Like, you
It's
guys
a
are in
two-way.
the best institute. Like, I don't think you guys need mentors. Like, I don't think anybody needs like mentor. I think we need bias for action. What's the best way to like learn about building a relationship with somebody? Go through that process. See if you want to keep up with it. Like, if you hosted a guest on your podcast before, see if you enjoy keeping that relationship for the next 6 months, 12 months. If you can't, then it's not for you. But at least you've learned it while doing. A lot of this time is spent in thinking and procrastinating without bias for action. So have bias for action and just go out and do it. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. Because I think multiple times before I send any message to, again, going back to the same thing, to people I admire when I put them on a pedestal as well.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Analysis paralysis, gone. It's just bias for action.
You're building offline for India's top 10% founders. How does one get into offline network?
They just apply to our website or get a referral from members. We started paid memberships in January last year. Now we're close to 110 10 members, paid members across Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore. We went live in UAE last year. Pretty much who's who of the ecosystem is there. Like, I mean, you've got 6 people running IPO'd companies, around 10 plus unicorn founders, many of them CXOs at global companies like Airbnb and Spotify, Region. So it's a solid group of people. So you really need to be connected to these. And whenever a warm referral comes, we take that very seriously. Else you can apply on our website as well. And that's the only way to get into offline, to be honest. We're not going out and trying to hunt for people. Like, this is the network of exclusivity in the true sense. I'm not pitching that we're going to grow by 10x in our numbers and stuff. Assemble the best one. And a community business is one of the hardest things you can do. Like, idea of a community for most people is WhatsApp group bana diya, done. Curation, thoughtfulness, events, experiences, connections, all of that needs to be matched made to perfection. Like, my team is from some of the best places in the country in hospitality and events and experiences. And they've done a phenomenal job in terms of thinking through every touch point. Like, I mean, how do you introduce a member to the community? How do you bring him on board? What's an introduction that they should give? How do you induct them into a pod? Pod is this group of founders that we curate with meets for 3 hours every month with a trained executive coach. And all of the smaller things, the offline playbook, what gets discussed, like how do you bring out the vulnerability? All of these things are thought to the because end of the day, it's a service business. It's not product. Like, I'm not selling SaaS, right? So when you're paying us, I mean, close to 6 lakhs in a year, how do you ensure that they get a luxury experience? Like, when you're buying, let's say, a Louis Vuitton or an Hermes bag, you don't associate with that with the cost of leather.
Yeah.
It's the brand that you created on top. We're year one into the journey. People are liking the experience that they're getting. And eventually, it's going to become harder and harder to get into offline. Every 50 members joining in, we raise the membership price as well. So aim is to restrict this. I don't want to have more people at offline. Smaller is better. Quality over
quantity.
Yeah, quality over quantity. So with those in mind, I think we've done a fairly decent job. So our website's super accessible to anyone, offline.club.
And you have a interview or an application process between the membership.
We've got an offline committee as well, which sort of the council, which helps us. There are borderline cases as well. People who meet the membership criteria as well, but we don't want their money. Like, we've said no to money so many times because
you have to.
I think a lot of founders don't realize this, that bad revenue is worse than
no revenue.
No revenue. So bad revenue can suck out your energy and spoil the whole thing. And especially in a community business, like, I mean, there are people like who can spoil the mood of the entire club and the network that we build. So we're very, very careful on vibe check. Like, there's a column on our application form, internal vibe check. So we honestly think that will we want to hang out with this guy when we like do all the cool things that we do, like hang out at Abu Dhabi F1? Will we want to take them for the Eminem concert? Will we want to see Wimbledon with them? So that vibe check fit has to be done.
Yeah, because people are the fundamental ingredient for any community-led business or ISB, for example.
Yeah. Any college for that matter. Like, I mean, why do you go to Harvard and Stanford now? They're going to be irrelevant very soon. Like, the only thing that you're getting is that stanford.edu email, just so that you can access all of that awesome alumni network. And that's, I mean, what you're learning also at ISB, you're not going to use like 20% of that in your real work life.
Yeah.
Right?
But I do believe in that average of five people thinking. You do push your ambition
in a
beyond a
dynamic
certain
world.
limit.
Tim Ferriss also agrees that's changing fast. Like, I think that average of 5 people or the 5 monkey theory, I think that's changing fast as well. Now I think you've just got so much dynamism around you that 5 people is not going to cut it. Like, you're going to get lonely and depressed very fast.
Yeah, I mean, not fixated on the number 5, but me being at ISB versus not being an ISB, major difference. The kind of people, I'm pushing my ambition beyond a certain limit. Yeah.
Exposure. Like, I mean, life is all about increasing your surface area. As long as you're under 30, expose yourself to so many people, so many ideas, so many things. Like, go have fun and work hard. Like, that's it.
Perfect. One last segment. I have 4-5 quick questions to ask you. So you can treat it as a rapid fire, but it's just simple questions.
Here we go.
Yeah. One deal which is closest to your heart, not in terms of how big they went up, just emotional value to that deal? Is there anything?
CoinDCX.
CoinDCX.
Man, the ups and downs, like I've written a blog post about it. It's just emotional. I love those guys. They danced at my wedding and I danced at their wedding. It was just, one of the rare bonds that I've found with the founder, who's become a very close friend now.
Wow, super nice. Do you regret missing out on any of the deals? Are there any deals?
Misho, I think, was my big anti-portfolio. I saw them when they were less than 10 million. And I was like, who's going to sell on 2015? Who's going to sell on WhatsApp? That's what I replied to my friend who introduced me to them, the Good Capital guys. And I was like, who's going to sell on WhatsApp? And suddenly WhatsApp is a thing. So
Yeah.
again, I'm blinded by my own worldview, but I didn't have so much money back in the day. So I could only say yes to so many opportunities. If I had unlimited money, then I would be saying yes to everything. And with, of course, a filter and judgment applied to some of these things. But Misho was one of the biggest hits for me.
Got it. What are you listening or reading to currently?
I read this book called, I'm excited about the Tim Ferriss book. I'm excited about the things that my recent two speakers at Offline have been mentioning. They've put out a post about like some philosophical reads and some fictional reads as well. Tim Ferriss recommended this book called Dune, which have been made into movies as well. The third one comes out, I think, next year. So I'm reading that right now.
Fantastic.
And Tim Ferriss has this No book, which he's written with Neil Strauss. It's codenamed No book. So I'm reading that. And Alok Sama Money Trap was one of the non-fiction ones that I read very recently. Superb memoir about the world of deal making inside SoftBank and that high flying world of like $1 billion checks and stuff. So yeah.
Fantastic. If you had to recommend one book or resource to someone who's entering the world of early stage investing or want to get better at, do you have that one recommendation?
Secrets of Sandal Road.
Okay.
And Venture Deals by
What are these two books about?
Literally, the titles. I mean, Secrets of Sandal Road. Sandal Road is the famous road where all the top venture firms are in the Silicon Valley ecosystem. So they're telling you about all the secrets, like how do they do deal making? What do they look out for an opportunity? And Venture Deals was an old Bible of sorts for anyone looking to learn about the venture space.
Got it. What's the next big goal in your life?
Next big goal in life. As I turn older, I think it's health. Like honestly, I try to sleep early. Like, I mean, I'm on this ultra human and Whoop and supplements and like all of those things, especially inspired by one of our speakers last year, Brian Johnson. Have you come across his name? No, Brian Johnson is this guy who created PayPal Venmo, acquired it, Venmo, and sold it to PayPal for 800 million, made like 400 million personally. And then he wanted to become the person to live the longest. Like, don't die was his philosophy that he's marketing right now. And he's come out with these supplement stacks and like he puts out every blood test report personally online. He spends millions of dollars in a year on himself to ensure that he lives forever. And I am just inspired by that guy. He came as our first speaker last year. And ever since last year, I've become obsessed with tracking sleep, everything, food and all of that stuff. Although I'm not the fittest person, but 80-20 rule for me in here also. Like if the 80% of the time I'm healthy, I'm very, very happy. The rest 20%, the marginal gains in anything, investing, life, relationships, I think it's not worth the effort. 80% is where everyone should focus on, including health, wealth, and wellness and all of that stuff.
Wonderful. Last thing, Utsav, if anyone wants to reach out to you, how can they do so?
I am very, very public, like Twitter, LinkedIn, email, hi@utsavsomani.com, u@ic.vc. Those are my emails. They can find me there.
Perfect. This is the end of the podcast. And thank you so, so very much for doing this. It is one of the, I mean, if Prof. Ram wouldn't have, helped me connect with you, I would have never imagined that I'll be sitting here and doing this podcast with you. So I'm super, super grateful.
No, please.
And hoping you also had a good time at the podcast.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it and you asked great questions and thank you so much, Arushi. The campus is wonderful as well. And yeah, I hope I just get to walk around a bit more.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for joining me in this part of the episode. In this part, we talked about how to find the right companies to invest in, how to secure a deal, why did Utsav reach out to Naval Ravikant to bring AngelList to India, and his networking principle. If any of this is value to you or someone you know, Please share and help me reach more people. Also, I want to hear your feedback, your thoughts, and criticism. So please drop in a comment or a message and help me bring more value to you. Thank you so much for joining in.